Hey, YouTube. Welcome back to another review here on the Lincoln Williams Show. And I just got back from a Christmas party and stuff, so that was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of dancing. There was Santa and all that stuff. Um, I got a Steam gift card, but my wife will have to repair the ripping of the code. So my wife will have to do that once we get a chance to get around to doing that. Um, but otherwise, I'll repair it, I'll replace it. So it's nothing too big of a deal. But today, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite consoles. Actually, it's my favorite console of all time, the Nintendo 64. I was like, what? Everybody in the comments are gonna be like, what? That's your favorite console of all time? In reality, yes, it is my favorite console of all time, the Nintendo 64. Um, it's one of my favorite consoles of all time. So what does the console, you know, let's talk about the so the console has a cartridge slot and it also has a RAM. It also has a RAM slot for a jumper pack or an expansion pack, but sometimes the expansion pack needs to be cleaned out every once in a while. It needs to be cleaned out, and you got to take care of the cartridges that's that are in, like that are available to the console. So you have to clean cartridges and you have to clean the jumper pack as well. Um, so yeah, so this console came out in 1996. Um, and a year after that, I was born in 1997 of January 29th. Um, yeah, so it was right around when the GameCube was coming out. But I had a couple years with the Nintendo 64, but um, I think I was around 5 when I really started getting into the console. Um, so so yeah. Uh, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is oh, sorry. Oh man. Um, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the controller, basically. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the controller. Um, Man, I hope I didn't damage it. So, yep. So, um, I didn't. Okay, false alarm. I didn't damage this controller except this part, like right here. It got a little scuffed up, but that's all right. Um, so yeah, so this is the controller basically. So basically, what its faults with so the fault with this controller that you have to upgrade with your console is the analog stick. The analog stick over time gets loose. Um, yeah, it'll get loose over time, and so yeah. So many people question, how do you hold this thing? Well, I basically hold it like this. I basically hold it like this, and do I basically hold it like this. I used to hold it. I used to hold it like this. I used to hold it like this when I was little, but now I hold it like this because I'm a grown adult, and all that stuff. So yeah. So anyway, yep. So yeah. So anyways, yeah. Here's your D-pad, your your analog stick. Um, so the analog stick, it loosens over time. So this has to get replaced after a couple of years of use and that stuff. So, and here's your D-pad for D-pad use, and here's your Z button down here, and here's your memory card and Rumble Pack slot. This is the Nintendo Switch Online controller that I'm demonstrating for today. So, anyways, yeah. So, and here's your C buttons for camera movement or any other action button, you know, things. Um, so yeah, but this controller doesn't have any flaws. I just banged it. I just banged it up a little bit. So when it fell to the floor. So yeah, so the Nintendo 64 is one of my favorite consoles of all time. Why? Because I have so many nostalgic memories of that console. Like seeing Paper Mario and, you know, playing a little bit of games here and there, and I had like two controllers with the console. Um, but I never really got into it until my replay retro business that I started collecting for the console. So this is started in 2017 when I started collecting for it. And I started really loving the Nintendo 64 with all my friends when I started my replay retro business and all that stuff. And yeah, and I'm so happy that the Nintendo 64 library came to Nintendo Switch Online. So I was really happy about that. Um, so what was going on with the Nintendo 64 during my childhood? In my childhood, I did not have a lot of games. I did not have a lot of games on the Nintendo 64, but I tried to have a lot. But, you know, there was there was a time that my wife played Pokemon Stadium. Well, she only played the kiosk version of it. I'm very happy that she played Pokemon Stadium back in the day, but that was the only game that she ever played on the Nintendo 64 um, on a kiosk. Um, so yeah, the Nintendo 64 really, I, to tell you the truth, I never had Mario 64 growing up. I never had Mario 64 growing up. I had a Wii and then I got it through that and I wanted to play it so bad and my dad ordered it off of the shop. Um, it was actually a little bit risky to ask him that, but he actually got me the game, Mario 64 for the Wii, and yeah, for the Virtual Console. Um, and yeah, I played that sucker for so many weeks until I beat it. Um, yeah, I love Mario 64 and all that stuff. So the games you got to have in your collection are Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye 007, and Super Smash Brothers, Zelda Ocarina of Time, um, Paper Mario, um, let's see, F-Zero X, which is a fun one, Diddy Kong Racing, and there's so much others that you can get into. Um, I started collecting, all sorts of kinds of games for the Nintendo 64 platform, like WWF No Mercy, which is a wrestling game, um, which I like. Um, Yeah, I like that game. Um, so, and there was also my first rated M game experience, which was Perfect Dark. No, it wasn't really the Resident Evils. It wasn't really, you know, I mean, it was just Perfect Dark. So made by Rare, not stuff. If you want to check out my N64 collection, there's it's somewhere in these videos. You just gotta go look for it. But it's a really in-depth library. Um, I collected the rare hidden gem that nobody knows about, which is the Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, which was a blockbuster rental. To come to think of it, it was a blockbuster rental back in the day, and I actually finally picked that game up, and it's fun. It's fun. It's a Tomb Raider. It's a Tomb Raider style game, and it's really fun, and it's really unique. And I'm glad that I have it in my collection. Um, there's also the Pokemon Stadium series, um, which those of you who haven't don't own Nintendo Switch Online, Pokemon Stadium was really something really special for me and my friend Ben. We used to play that all the time. Uh, my first years here in McCall was I played that with him, and that was really fun. Um, and then let's see what else. Oh, there's Donkey Kong 64. If you really wanted to get into a difficulty spike, is Donkey Kong 64 and the collectathon with that. But if you really want a good collectathon game, then go with Banjo Kazooie. Banjo Kazooie was one of my first video games ever played when I was a kid. It was one of the very first games that I played when I was a kid, and I had a lot of fond memories. And I tried to beat it in 2020, but I didn't manage to beat it yet. So if if any of you have Banjo Kazooie skills, um, you know, come on right over and show me how to beat it. That stuff. So, anyways, yeah. So there's also darker games like Resident Evil 2. Um, which is a zombie apocalypse game. Um, there's also Zelda Majora's Mask, that requires the expansion pack. Actually, Perfect Dark and Donkey Kong 64 and Perfect Dark and Donkey Kong 64 and Zelda Majora's Mask only require the expansion pack. Um, so yeah, to tell you the truth, YouTubers, I I fully upgraded my Nintendo 64. Modded it. I modded it so much that I unmodded it with modern controllers. I modded it with modern controllers, with Brawler 64 controllers, and a special adapter, which is $150, $150 adapter that connects to HDMI. But you can get cheaper solutions, but I just wanted the best experience for my flat screen TV so that I can play these games. Um, so yeah. Uh yeah, it's called the Super 64 if you're wondering. It's called the Super 64 HDMI adapter for Nintendo 64. And so yeah, what you got to do is get a couple of brawlers, get a couple of Brawler 64, get a couple of Brawler 64s, and let's see, you really got to get, well, if you really want like GameCube style joystick, then go with a Tribute 64. Um, yeah, so I would go with the Tribute 64 or the Brawler 64, based on your preferences on controllers, modern controllers. Um, and you can also get it for the Switch Online, so that's always a plus. So yeah, I mean, I fully modified this console. How did I do it? So I went with the Super 64 HDMI adapter. I went with the Brawler 64, and then um I also did the EverDrive 64. Now the EverDrive 64, I talked about it on this channel, so it's an EverDrive flash cart. That it's all in the that it's all in the cloud. So, anyways, yeah, it's all in the cloud, and yeah, so it really is. Yeah, I'm just watching my time here. Yeah, so the EverDrive 64 is a flash cart and it's all in the cloud. So you select your game. I always wanted a cart like this that'll play every single Nintendo 64 game across the board on one cart. I always wanted that. And now I finally have it. And I have some ROM hacks as well. So, yeah, so it's really cool. So and there's multiple console themed controllers and console themed consoles, like different colors. There's different controllers. This console has it all, most stuff. And I'm so happy that this console came out back in the day, for 4-player co-op, because, well, I actually never had four friends to play with. I would always have like we would always do 2-player stuff. And so yeah. So anyways, oh, I got a text. Who's that? Oh, this is my mom. So anyways, yeah, anyways, yeah, so anyways, so the memories that I had with this console so far have been really good. I've been trying to finish GoldenEye 007, but that takes a lot to get around with those level designs and all that stuff. But it's still a 10 out of 10 game, for multiplayer experiences. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have a lot of fond memories with the Nintendo 64. Um, and I also love Mario Kart 64 and Super Smash Brothers. Um, so yeah, I mean, I had a lot of memories like playing the Nintendo 64 back in the day, with Donkey Kong 64 and many others. Um, but yeah, what were your? But mostly I played Zelda Ocarina of Time, and that's one of my favorite games of all time. And so yeah, what were your favorite memories of the Nintendo 64? Let me know in the comments down below, or let me know on Facebook. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll basically keep on playing the Nintendo 64, not stuff. But yeah, um, I downloaded a bunch of ROMs, like, yeah, like over the years onto my Windows XP computer, and I played them that way to experiment on what should I play and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, do you really need a Nintendo 64 now? If you want to get into it, then yes, get into it. But if not, you can probably just skip it and go with the Nintendo Switch Online version of the 64. But it's still a great console to collect for and have fun with and modding with. And this console makes me happy and all that stuff. And you know, so yeah, I hope you come over to my house someday. I hope you come over to my apartment someday just to play Mario Kart 64 or something like that. Um, so yeah, so yeah, the final verdict. This is my favorite console of all time. So the final verdict for the Nintendo 64 is a legendary 10 out of 10. This was so groundbreaking when it came out. No, that stuff. And I love playing Mario Party 2 with my wife and all that stuff and best friend and all that stuff. And I love it. I love Mario Party 2 and all that stuff. So with Western Land and Space Land and all that stuff. And yeah. So I give the Nintendo 64 a legendary 10 out of 10. Go check this console out if you haven't already. And keep playing Nintendo, YouTubers. And I'll see you guys all later in the next Lincoln Williams Show episode. Have a fantastic day, YouTubers, and I'll be back someday, YouTubers.